Hello everyone. Today, let us try to understand on the topic of modern bank management. In this title, let us try to understand on secondary or miscellaneous functions of a bank. My dears, in the functions of bank, the secondary functions or miscellaneous functions are very important functions of any bank. Here, bank, in the meaning which what I would like to say here is that commercial banks, which means commercial banks, secondary functions. Here bank means we don't compare with the central bank functions. Bank, commercial bank functions means maybe the functions of cooperative banks, maybe the functions of all commercial banks, maybe the functions of all regional rural bank. In that sense, I am taking the topic in this session. Myself, Sreenivasaiah from the Department of Collegiate Education. The learning objective of this topic is to understand secondary functions of a bank, which means secondary functions of a commercial bank. Further, what is the outcome of this session where student can understand? Students will be able to understand. After understanding the secondary functions and miscellaneous functions of a commercial bank is to understand day-to-day functions of a commercial bank. My presentation plan is like this. First, introduction, then meaning of a bank, then secondary functions, miscellaneous functions, and whatever the references which I have made, and MCQs, multiple choice questions with one or two to understand better this presentation plan has been made. Here, functions of a bank. When we are understanding in the introduction, in the presentation, the word bank is used in the sense of commercial banks. When does this commercial bank concept became more popular? The commercial banks concept became more popular when it was people in the olden days, they used to start financing by sitting on a bench. Then later on, that became a bank. Modern commercial bank perform a number of functions and provide a number of services to various sections of the society and to the government itself, which means modern commercial banks are playing a very significant role towards society as well as government. According to Professor Sayers, ordinary banking business consists of changing cash for bank deposits and bank deposits for cash, transferring bank deposit from one person to another person, giving bank deposit in exchange, government bonds, the record promises of businessmen to repay, and so forth. Which means to say that here commercial banks or the financial institutions are accepting deposits and lending loan towards customers as well as government. Further, the meaning of a commercial bank. The term commercial bank refers to a financial institution that accepts deposits, offering, checking, loan account services, makes various loans, and offers basic financial products like certificates of deposits, savings accounts to an individual and small businessman. Here we need to understand commercial bank play a very significant role as a financial institution by accepting loan and lending, by accepting deposits and by lending loan facilities to its customers. Then what are the subsidiary or agency or secondary functions performed by commercial banks? As a commercial banks, they are going to perform the remittance of funds. Remittance of funds means here commercial banks are going to remit the funds to its play a subsidiary or agency or secondary functions from the following. First one, remittance of funds. A banker arranges remittance of funds from one place to another place on behalf of its customers by means of bank drafts, mail transfers, and other electronic modes. Here under other electronic modes, nowadays the RTGS and NEFT transfer became so popular among all the services which are provided by the commercial banks. So whatever the money required to be transferred from one place to another place, now it is going to happen in a fraction of a second on behalf of customer. It is one of the important subsidiary agency services or secondary services functions performed by commercial banks. Second one, sale and purchase of securities. In the sale and purchase of securities, commercial banks plays a very significant role, which means to say that a banker undertakes buy and sell securities on behalf of its customers. The banker arranges for the purchase and sale of on behalf of its customers through the stock brokers, which means to say that whatever the customers, they open demat account in the bank on behalf of the customer. On behalf of the customer, commercial banks are going to purchase shares, bond and debentures and other securities. And at the same time, whenever customers, they don't want the debentures, bonds and other securities on their account, they are going to sell, which means commercial banks are going to sell to the others on behalf of the customers. So therefore we can say that it is one of the subsidiary functions performed by commercial banks as a sale and purchase of securities. Next, third one, income tax consultant. Commercial banks are also play a very significant role as a income tax consultant. What is that into? So on behalf of the customers, commercial banks are going to act as an income tax consultant to pay the income tax to the income tax department. At the same time, commercial banks are also advising to its customers about the income tax preparation on behalf. Further, act as a trustee or executor. So here, an important function, act as a trustee or an executor. A trustee is a person who is entrusted with some property by author of trust on the benefit of other person is called the beneficiary. in that sense, modern bank serves as a trustee for its customer as a trustee. At the same time, a banker required first certain amount of full detail to the trust property, then it should administer the trust property strictly in accordance with the terms and conditions being prepared in the trust deed, which means to say that commercial banks are also going to act as a trustee and executor on behalf of his customer based on the trust deed which has been established during the agreement made between the persons. Next, collection of dividends on the shares of customers. Here already I told, with the commercial banks we can open a demat account. When we are going to open a demat account, this demat account is being maintained with the commercial bank. So on behalf of the customers, commercial banks are going to collect the dividends on shares, which means whatever the profit capital gain they are going to get, which means the customers are going to get, that is going to be collected on behalf of customers. It is going to one of the important function which is performed by a commercial bank as a secondary functions. Act as a correspondent. So here another very important functions which is being performed by a commercial bank, that is a correspondent banking. Now wherever there is no branch of a bank, commercial banks can appoint a correspondent. This correspondent is going to collect all deposits and advances also can make through this correspondent. So this correspondent banking system is also called branchless banking system. So the remote places when there is no branches, this correspondent plays a very important role in explaining so the functions of commercial bank to its customer. So this is being acted, this is being done on behalf of the customers. At the same time, commercial banks in its secondary functions, they are going to also collect the pensions for the age-old people on behalf of their customers. So from the government, it is also one of the functions performed by the commercial banks. So these are the important functions which is being performed by commercial bank. Commercial bank general utility services also being performed by the commercial bank in many ways, that is financing to a foreign trade, the miscellaneous services, or it is also called general utility services. So financing to a foreign trade, which means when person is conducting a trade from one place to another place, for that foreign trade finance facility is also being extended by these commercial banks. At the same time, locker facilities, nowadays the gold and all very important valuables can be kept in the bank by the customer, so on very less amount of maintenance. So therefore we can say that the commercial bank play a very important role by providing a locker facility for its customers also. Issue of traveler check. When a person, which means an account holder or a customer, is traveling from one place to another place, commercial banks, they are going to issue a traveler check, the places where he is visiting. So by using that traveler check, he can cash the check. At the same time, he can do its travel very safely. There will be no question of any kind of a irregularities for his financial matters. So nowadays, this traveler check, it is one of the though it is an important function, it is losing its importance because nowadays debit card and credit card play a very important role, because by using the debit card and credit card itself, the customers can make use of this the facility which is being provided by the commercial bank as a miscellaneous services. Collection of statistics. Commercial banks are also going to collect the statistics on behalf of the customers about the information supplied, enable to avoid risk in the near future. So therefore, it is also one of the important functions will be performed as a miscellaneous services. Providing information on financial matters. Commercial banks are also going to provide some amount of information for its customers about the financial matters, investment plans, retirement plans, mutual fund investment, and other purchase of property and house loan, all with regards to this commercial bank in the miscellaneous services. Other utility services, it is going to provide services. It is going to provide information to its customers. So therefore, we can say that it is one of the important functions which is being performed by commercial bank as a miscellaneous services. So further, to prepare this, we have used these references. You can go through that. Multiple choice questions. A secondary function bank is also known as an agency services, subsidiary functions, both A and B are A only. So the secondary functions are also called as a agency or a subsidiary services. So that you need to understand. Among the following, which is not the secondary functions of a bank, that is remittance of funds, sale and purchase of securities, income tax, consultant, and locker facilities. Which of the following is not a secondary functions? These are all the secondary functions: remittance of funds, sale and security, income tax, sale and purchase of security, income tax, consultant, locker facilities being provided. It is not the secondary functions of a commercial commercial banks. It is a locker facility. It is a utility services provided, utility services performed by a commercial banks. So that is locker facilities. It is a utility services. So these are the things we need to understand about commercial banks.